Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In this video we will be looking at the dangers of FOMO and how to overcome it. So stay tuned. Your physical, mental and emotional state may be at risk. You're late night scrolling through Instagram or TikTok, and suddenly, you stumble on a series of photos or videos of your friends or family having fun without you. You ask yourself, why didn't they invite me? Did they just forget to include me? And then, just as quickly, you're falling down a rabbit hole of trying to make sense of it all, wondering what you did wrong, wishing you had been included, scrolling through their social media profiles to find clues for what made them leave you out in the first place. Ultimately, you're left simmering in sadness, guilt, or shame because you've developed a fear of missing out. FOMO, or the fear of missing out, has become all too prevalent over the last couple of decades. It's an experience that many of us are familiar with. And while it's directly related to our self-esteem and self-worth, it also has a direct effect on our physical, mental, and emotional health. And how could it not? When everyone else around you is having fun without you, what can you do to feel good about where you're at and what you're doing on your own? Clinical health psychologist Amy Sullivan, PsyD, breaks down all the nuances of FOMO and shares advice for how to avoid it or how to manage it when it inevitably creeps up. What is FOMO? FOMO, or the fear of missing out, refers to the feeling or perception that other people are having fun, experiencing new things, or living a better life than you. And while it most often pops up when you see or perceive these characteristics in people you love and you're close with, it can also occur with parasocial relationships. When you see people you don't know but follow on social media doing really cool things you wish you were doing, it can have a lasting impact on how you feel about yourself. With the advancement of social media, people are feeling like they can't escape FOMO, says Dr. Sullivan. We have access to everything 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and most people are on multiple platforms. Because of this, people are feeling like they're either missing out or they're not doing enough to reach their full potential. FOMO isn't entirely dependent on social media, though social media is perhaps FOMO's biggest culprit. FOMO can happen to anyone anywhere at any time. An athlete who frequently sees someone they look up to working out in the gym 4 to 5 days a week may experience stress associated with the belief that they're not able to commit to the time or keep up with such high standards. Someone who enjoys reading may become triggered by someone else's long list of books they've read over the course of a year and may feel as if they're not smart enough, educated enough, or able to maintain that level of comprehension. Someone who wishes to be more socially involved or active might feel left out, anxious, or like they're not doing enough whenever they see or hear about other people traveling, going on adventures, and experiencing things they've never experienced in their own lives. In many ways, modern-day FOMO is similar to the long-time phenomenon known as keeping up with the Joneses, the pressure of having to meet or exceed your neighbor's social status, wealth, and popularity. Why does FOMO happen? FOMO can affect anyone, but certain people are at higher risk for FOMO if they have an underlying mental health condition or have low level of self-esteem. Of course, social media isn't all bad, but it can be particularly harmful if your personal relationship with your body image is in disarray. And in particular, anxiety disorder and depression both lend themselves to experiencing FOMO more frequently and with longer-lasting effects. What concerns me is people who are predisposed to emotional disorders like anxiety or depression typically withdraw or avoid situations, and their way of connecting with others may be through social media, notes Dr. Sullivan. The human experience is all about connection, so we have an innate need to connect. But in the instance of a person with anxiety or depression, the majority of their connection may be through social media. A 2017 study correlated more daily social media use with a higher chance of having an anxiety disorder. While a 2022 study suggests depressive and anxious symptoms worsen the longer we spend on social media. While social media likely isn't going anywhere anytime soon, how we use it and how often we use it certainly has a direct impact on our ability to experience FOMO. How does FOMO affect your health? The fear of missing out can have a direct impact on your physical, mental, and emotional health. You might physically experience some symptoms associated with anxiety that include stomach tension and nausea, headaches, body aches and pain, heart palpitations and increased heart rate, feelings of emotional distress. Mentally and emotionally, you might experience an increase in intrusive thoughts. You might even become consumed by the cycle of negative self-talk, making it more difficult to manage and believe in your own sense of self-worth and self-esteem. If at any point any of these symptoms become increasingly disruptive, it's important that you ask for help. From a psychological standpoint, when it starts to impact your daily life, we know there's an issue. And that's any domain of life: social interactions, athletics, school, relationships, states Dr. Sullivan. Whatever it may be, if any aspect of your life is disrupted, we need to be able to identify the root of the problem and any potential solutions that can help. Tips to help overcome and deal with FOMO. So, is the solution to FOMO as simple as taking a break from social media? Or are there other ways you can learn to cope with stress associated with online use? What we have to do is set appropriate limits and do a value-based assessment of our goals and what helps us to achieve those goals, including our use of social media, says Dr. Sullivan. Some helpful solutions for avoiding and managing FOMO include recognizing your feelings and setting limits. When we start to feel physical or psychological symptoms, we know it's time to stand up and take a break, says Dr. Sullivan. We have to set limits. This can look like deactivating your social media accounts, saving social media involvement for the weekends when it's not disrupting your work, or imputing time limits on your smartphone so you can only access certain apps for a limited amount of time within a 24-hour period. If you have a younger adolescent child at home and you're just starting to introduce them to social media, it's very important as a parent to set those limits for the child, advises Dr. Sullivan.